Hello, dear. One more incredible story for you. It's a story of a king who could be the role model to the modern Christian politicians. He was born in Poissy, France in 1214. He succeeded to the throne at the tender age of 12 under the regency of his mother. At that age, I guess you and me would have been in 6th or 7th standard. On our 21st birthday, some of us threw up big parties, but this young man on his 21st birthday became the king with full powers. No more mama's boy. At his coronation as King of France, he bound himself by oath to behave as God's anointed and as the father of his people. Other kings before him, of course, had done the same, but he was different. He actually interpreted his kingly duties in the light of Christian faith. Today's politicians too take an oath of honestly serving the people, but they betray the oath the very next day. His mother loved her son, and her love language was setting the golden standard by which all future Catholic mothers would guide their political children into holiness. This king never forgot two of the Christian instructions his mother gave him. His mother told him the sins of his people were actually a reflection on him as their monarch. She would rather see him die than commit a mortal sin and make her Lord cry. I wish today's Christian politicians had mothers like that who would teach them to count their mortal sins. Unlike today's Christian politicians who amass wealth by hook or crook, he was devoted to his people, founding hospitals, visiting the sick, and like his patron saint St. Francis of Assisi, caring even for people with leprosy. Therefore, he is one of the patrons of the secular Franciscan order. Every day he would invite 13 special guests from among the poor to dine with him, and a large number of poor were served meals near his palace. During Advent and Lent, the poor were given a meal, and he often served them in person. He kept list of needy people whom he regularly relieved in every province of his dominion. Don't you think, my friend, this world would have been a beautiful place if every Christian politician had a heart like this king? Even though he was a king, he always made it a point to attend Mass every day. Do you attend Mass every day, my friend? St. Louis the Ninth is said to have united France. Yes, that is his name, and this is his real story. History tells us that he united lords and townsfolk, peasants and priests and knights, not by money, but by the force of his personality and holiness. For many years, the nation was at peace. He was not only a peacemaker, but also a just king. Louis deserves credit for extending justice in his civil administration. His regulations for royal officials became the first of a series of reform laws. He introduced examination of witnesses and encouraged the use of written records in court. He even introduced the novel concept of law, innocent until proven guilty, which we follow even today. He was indeed a man with a vision for his kingdom. Louis IX was also famous for crusades. I know today crusades are seen in a bad light and interpreted differently. I think we have lost sight of what the crusades actually were. In those centuries, crusade was a good thing. I always say the generation of 21st century must not judge the generation of the past centuries, for we do not know about their mental, cultural and religious context or mindset. I'm sure the 22nd century generation is definitely going to judge us, the generation of the 21st century. In St. Louis' time, religion was your culture and identity. It was the foundation by which you related to God and fellow people. The way a people worshipped defined them. Also, once a people had the truth revealed to them, they needed to share it. It wasn't just Christians who felt this way. Muslim armies also thought that way and so had spread from the Middle East to Northern Africa and were starting to make inroads into Europe. The United Christian monarchs did not like this, so they decided to take back the holy Christian cities, especially Jerusalem, and reopen pilgrimages for the Christians. These conquests were called crusades, and much of our information about St. Louis comes from his heroics in two crusades. Louis led the 6th and the 7th crusades. He was captured and imprisoned during the 6th. At the onset of the 7th crusade in 1270, the good Christian king Louis IX died of dysentery at the age of 56. He was canonized 27 years later in 1297. His feast is celebrated on August 25th. You know, my friend, King Louis was strong-minded. His word was trusted utterly and his courage in action was remarkable. What is most remarkable was his sense of respect for anyone with whom he dealt, especially the poor and homeless. He dealt with princes honestly and equitably. With all his power and glory, he was still a humble man. He never forgot his Catholic upbringing. When inquired why he would sign official documents not as King Louis IX, but rather as Louis of Poissy, he would respond by saying, "Poissy is a place where I was baptized. That is more important to me than the Cathedral of France where I was crowned the king. It is a greater thing to be a child of God than to be ruler of a kingdom. My kingly throne I shall lose at my death, but my baptismal identity will be my passport to everlasting glory." How I wish every Christian politician was faithful to their baptismal promises and fearlessly practiced Christian faith in their administration. It is heartbreaking to see Christian politicians breaking the first commandment by visiting temples and offering pujas, indulging in corruption, rapes, murders, dadagiri and gundagiri. Their list of mortal sins is endless. They may have a great funeral here on earth, but will they have great entry into heaven? I don't think St. Peter will tolerate bribes at the pearly gates. Well, my friends, that was a real story of an incredible Christian king. Thank you for watching this video. Continue to patronize these episodes, real stories that inspire life. At your service, the Wandering Guru.